Hey everyone, Aaron here. Welcome to another anime request review. Today's request is of Panty and Stocking with Garterbelt, and the review goes out to Onasan. Onasan, I hope you enjoy this. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Now, have you ever woken up in the morning and go, hey, you know what? I used to like the show Powerpuff Girls, but I'm now in my 20s and I want to see a more adult version of Powerpuff Girls. I'm tired of that kid stuff. I want something with action, violence, sex, weird art styles, animation that's pretty cool at times. You ever wish for that specifically? I don't know. I don't think anyone has actually specifically wished for something like that. That's kind of weird if you did. But that's what Panty and Stocking essentially is. It is essentially Powerpuff Girls on crack. That's the best way I could put it. That is the best way I think anyone could put it. So let's go into the kind of concept of what Panty and Stocking is all about. So the main concept is that we have two angels, Panty and Stocking, who are up above in heaven and are thrown down because they're horrible people. They're too engrossed with sex. One's engrossed with sugar. One's engrossed with men all the time. They're bad angels. So they're sent down to a place called Daten Gate, which is where they are going to now reside until they kind of show that they're worthy of being angels again. But in the process of doing so, they get randomly sent with demons and other weird creatures that seem to want to kill them and want to kill everyone else in the process. Now, yeah, this show is very freaking bizarre. It is one of those shows that when you actually, you start looking at it and you start dissecting the show, you wonder, why is this show so freaking odd? It's just one of those shows that you look at it and it's like, oh my god, what the hell is going on? Visually, Panty and Stocking, it's a mixture of an older style of art, I think, when it comes to again, like the Powerpuff Girls, because it kind of reminds me of that. I'm not saying exactly like that, because this is animation that's actually done very well compared to that, but it reminds me of it's trying to be like that type of style where it's very short, little mini, like chibi kind of characters, and then occasionally, and I'm using air quotes here, occasionally, they actually have like adult forms, and then they actually have some really nice animation once in a while hit. But it's not very often. It's only done once in a blue moon, usually during fight scenes or transformation scenes. Because yeah, Panty and Stocking, the reason they're named for that is because literally one uses her panties as guns, and the other one uses her stockings as swords. You have no idea how weird and awkward this review is to do for me. As a grown man, it is a weird thing to review. I was already watching this anime, and I'm like, this is very odd. I remember initially when it first came out, I actually heard about it when it first was released, and I didn't show any interest in it because I just didn't like the art style too much. And I still have an issue with the art style. I'm not saying it's horrible, but it's not my cup of tea. I don't like the kind of chibi character designs, and then kind of going into like the really nice art once in a blue moon. It just, to me, it looks like it's kind of weak. I mean, one of the best things about the show is that it knows it's kind of like crazy, and it's trying to be like gurren laggan in many ways, because I mean, look at the company that does this. But yeah, overall, it's just animation wise, it's hit or miss for me. I mean, people will like this because if they like really crazy short animation that looks really more hand drawn than kind of the animation done nowadays, you'll like this. You'll appreciate what it is. If you don't, that's gonna be a whole nother story. You might have an issue watching this. Voice actor wise, I actually liked all the voices for them. All the main characters, both English and Japanese dub, are very well done. I prefer English dub with a show like this because I think the kind of raunchy content works better to hear in English than having to read in Japanese. I mean, it still comes off the same way per se when you read it, but I think having the characters say it is maybe a little bit better in terms of having an English audience watching this. But that's just me. I mean, you can watch it sub or dub because I mean it's hit or miss both ways, but I think honestly, the English dub works a little bit better. Now, story wise, don't expect much from Panty and Stocking as a story. It's not meant to be a really important story. I mean, a lot of the stuff that happens in this is random. I mean, even at the ending of the show is a random kind of homage to just random twists that happen sometimes in anime, especially toward the end of the series. And I mean, I appreciate it for what it is. It's a crazy anime, so I don't really expect it to be story. I mean, each episode out of I think the 13 episodes that are available are actually split into two. So it's almost like you're watching a regular Cartoon Network type show where you have the first 10 minutes or 11 minutes is one episode, and then technically the second half is the other part of the episode. So realistically, you almost get like 24 episodes that are 13 minutes long each around that. overall, what am I gonna say that's bad about Panty and Stocking? I just don't think it's bad per se. I think this is more of your flavor. If you like stuff like this, the kind of raunchy, weird art style animation stuff, you're gonna be in love with this show because this show is very raunchy. It's very sex driven. It's a show that's meant to be not taken too seriously in terms of anything, but it's meant to have a lot of homages to those concepts of lust and greed and all that. I mean, like every character in this portrays a kind of sin in themselves. And if you like stuff like that, you'll like this show. But if you're really one of those people like me personally, if you don't like stuff that's overly raunchy or overly just kind of crazy because it wants to be overly crazy, you're not going to like this show too much. I'm not saying that everyone's going to dislike it because I know a lot of people do like Panty and Stocking. I honestly do not. But I'm also not going to review it that way either because I'm going to give it a middle ground review when you wait a second if you see that. But overall, everything works about the show again. It's not that anything per se is bad about it. The animation is hit or miss. I think it's more so hit for people who love styles like this because I personally don't. But I can see other people appreciating a style like this because it looks nice when it's, full done. It looks nice when it's action sequences. I mean, the action sequences are probably the best part. And I love the transition to like the kind of weird ass models that they have where they're showing the 3D models of someone like a monster, for example, and they explode like almost in a fake background because it kind of reminds me of the old days of animation where they try to do stuff that's very extravagant only to come short completely, but do that on purpose because that's how the budget was back then. So I think I think it's not bad in that sense, but I think for everyone else, this is really one of those shows that your mileage on it, how much you like on it, will vary depending on how much you like shows like this. That's why overall, if I would review it A through F, I'm gonna say a C plus. I think this is a decent show for who it's aimed at. For me, it's not. So I'm not saying I like it personally. I'm being honest with you guys, but I'm also taking into account that this is meant for people who like this type of animation, that like this kind of raunchy, tongue-in-cheek kind of humor and stuff like that. Dark humor has always been a kind of weird ground with me. I like dark humor and stuff, but I also like it to be a certain way done. So I mean, this show doesn't really do it for me, but I can see why other people that like this type of show will love this show. They'll think this is one of the best things ever. And I mean, hey, listen, they're okay with their opinion. They're actually okay with that because, in God honest truth, this show was made for certain audiences, not everyone. That's the thing about it. Anyways, I digress. I hope you guys enjoyed this review. Oni-san, I hope I did this review you justice. I mean, I know you're probably like, oh, I love this show, and I know, but honestly, I just didn't like it the same way you probably did. It's not a big deal. But I hope you guys, continue to give me more requests. I could always use them for down the road. I'm not promising they'll be done within the next month because I have a lot of requests right now coming out. But overall, I hope you guys like this review. And as always, until our paths cross again in the next review, have a good one, everyone. Please like, comment, subscribe. The whole nine. Bye-bye, everyone.